Do okay, we're live. Hey guys, my name's Tyler,
I'm Esther.
and this is our first ever live trainer chat. So, what we have here is we've had several clients and not clients submit some questions to us, and we have a list of all the questions that we have over here. Now, as I said, this is our first time ever doing this live. So, if you guys notice anything like you can't hear us or the angle's not right or anything like that, please let us know because we can't tell that unless you guys let us know. So, and right now when I say you guys, I'm referring to all 0 of you that are listening to me talking. That makes this a very weird situation, but hopefully people start. Hopefully you guys start showing. Okay, so all right, all right. Let's be professional here. We're serious people. All right.
Okay. All right. So we have some questions here that we are going to talk about and discuss. But if you guys ever have, like, if there's ever any questions that you guys come on, during the live, you ask them in the comments and we will answer them.
Yeah. So what we have first, as we foresaw this a little bit, is we have these kind of predetermined questions that have been submitted ahead of time. So the first question that we have, and Esther, I'll have you start us off.
Oh, let's not start with that top one.
Okay. Well, you pick a question and we'll go from there.
So why won't my dog come when I call them?
All right, so go ahead. Why is it that people's dogs are not coming when they are calling them?
Most often, it's usually because there is something way more exciting than you that is drawing their attention and basically luring them away from you.
Yeah, that's always what it is. I mean, there's the reason that your dog isn't coming is because you're less exciting than whatever it is that's running away from them. So,
or less worth it too. Because once you've trained your dog to come when called, you teach them that there's good things and rewards for when they come to you, but you also teach them that there are consequences when they don't come to you. And so is going after this thing that's drawing my attention worth the consequence I'm going to get for not coming when I'm called? That's a big thing too.
Yeah, and it's tough because what happens a lot of times is people get ignored by their dogs when they're around things that are more exciting to their dogs. So they do fairly well when they're in the house for the most part, but then you go outside and there's squirrels and there's different smells and there's other dogs that have marked and there's flying birds and there's all these things. And so those are things that you haven't trained around before with your dogs. And so it's kind of unfair for us to expect them to just come when called if they've never done it before in that circumstance. So that's why we always kind of slowly, or if you've worked with us before, or I think we've mentioned it in some of our videos, we kind of slowly ramp up the distractions. We start in the house, we teach the dog what a recall is, what it is that we want from them. Then the next thing will be we introduce a distraction in the house. Then if the dog does well with that, then we'll go outside. We'll kind of reteach the recall all over again, which usually only takes like a few minutes outside. Then we introduce a distraction outside, and then we just continue going up these steps. But you have to do it at a fair rate for your dog, or else your dog will fail massively. And that's something that a lot of people get wrong, is they just think, hey, my dog does okay inside, so now I can go outside, or I can go to a field, or I can go to a dog park, and they'll still come running back to me. And that's absolutely not the case. That's very unfair to your dogs. It's also unfair to you for you to have that expectation. We get a lot of clients who are super discouraged because they don't understand why it is that their dog is doing that. That's why you're just not as exciting as other dogs are, or squirrels or rabbits or anything like that, and understandably so. So that's why you have to put in all that work ahead of time. You have anything else to add with that?
I think you covered it pretty well.
All right, what should we do next?
The next one, we can continue on from there.
All right, how do I stop my dog from pulling on the leash? So this is a very quick answer. If you guys know who we are, we use correction. We're balanced teachers, balanced trainers. So what that means is that if a dog does something wrong, we will show them and teach them that what they did is wrong. So the number one thing that I could teach probably any dog in the world in like 20 minutes how to walk on is a pinch collar, or they call them a prong collar. They look like, really, I always say they look like painful torture devices, but that's not what they are. That's just what they look like. The whole idea behind their creation is they're called a pinch collar because if you have a mother dog raising puppies, when the puppies misbehave, the mother dog nips at them or pinches them, will nip them, right? To teach them, hey, stop doing that thing that you're doing. And the pinch collar gives that exact same sensation. So that's why it's always funny to us when people see those things and they go, oh, it's so mean and it's so wrong. If they feel that way, they should also be there when the mother is raising her puppies, because that dog is also nipping at that dog. So it's a sensation that is just understood by the dog because it's something that comes through them genetically. The mother nips at them. I understand what this means. So now we're just applying that to pulling on the leash. so that the dog stops choking themselves constantly on it. So the
Mhm.
quick answer to that question is, how do I stop my dog from pulling on the leash? Is you put a pinch on them and you use it in the right way. So
Yeah.
anything to add to that?
Well, yeah, I mean, so many people, they are nervous and scared of it because if used improperly, it can, it can hurt your dog, right?
Mhm.
But if you use it properly, it is way safer than letting your dog pull on a regular collar. The regular collar is just putting pressure on their trachea, and I mean that's where dogs get what,
Mhm.
collapsed tracheas?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah. And obviously that is way more expensive and damaging to a dog than a pinch collar.
Yeah, something that I always say to people at sessions is a tool is a tool. And so we use a pinch collar and we use it the right way. Uh, a tool is a tool. I can use a hammer and I can build you a house with it, or I can beat you over the head with it, right? One of those is the right way to use it, and one of those is the very wrong way to use it. We use the tools and we use them the right way. And if they're
Mhm.
used the right way, you can have wonderful results and the dog can have a much happier life, and so can you. So next up, it says, why does my dog bark so much and how can I stop it? Man, we're just hitting these questions that certain people on the internet are going to hate us for.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe that'll get us a lot of traction here.
So, why does my dog bark? Let's start with that. There are all sorts of reasons your dog could be barking. But something they hear, things they see, how they feel, like whether they're being anxious, they're nervous, or just high energy. But it doesn't really matter what it is that your dog is barking at. Any reason that any reason that they're barking can be stopped with a bark collar or a knee collar if you want to control the stimulation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put easily.
The reason that a bark collar is so good, whether you don't like correcting your dog and you just want to try a vibrate collar and see if that works or whatever it is that you're going to do, the reason that it's so good is because it's incredibly consistent. And that's the thing with dogs through all training, regardless of what it is. If you're not consistent with what you do, then the dog will continue to do it. So, for example, barking. Say I have a shake can, which some people use. You get like a Coke can, put some coins in it, and then every time the dog barks, you shake it really loud, so it kind of startles them, right? And they disengage from whatever they were barking at, and then they stop barking and they go do something else. If I don't do that every single time that my dog barks at something, the dog is going to go, okay, 8 out of 10 times I was corrected, but 2 times I got away with it. Therefore, I'm going to keep doing it. We
I
always
might
say that
still
dogs
get
are,
away with it
yeah,
this time.
we say dogs are gamblers and not necessarily super good ones, but even if they get that 2 out of 10 and they get corrected the 8 times, they're still going to keep doing it. So that's with whether you've watched our videos, whether you have trained with us, consistency is always the most important thing. And when it comes to anything, and especially when it comes to crate training or when it comes to crate training or barking, or I mean, literally anything, or walking on the leash, if we're not consistent, then our dogs are not going to do well with it. So we must be consistent. And that's why a bark collar is so phenomenal at it. Because the only other option when it's how can I stop barking, you really can't. You can't stop people from walking by your house. You can't stop things from being interesting to your dogs. You can buy headphones or you can buy something to cover the noise for yourself. But there needs to be some sort of a negative association with barking, and you might as well let technology do that, because unless you're going to be up 24/7 to shake a can every single time your dog barks, you're kind of out of luck there. So,
Mhm.
anything else to add to that?
Oh, you
All
put
right.
it on
Why
there?
don't you handle this one because it's potty training and that's just miserable. So,
You're better at explaining the potty. So the question says, "Can I retrain my dog potty training?" Okay, the key word here for me that I've noticed is the retrain. It makes it seem like your dog was potty trained, but something's happened to cause them to start having accidents in the house again. And so there's a few things you need to kind of be aware of. Is there a change in routine or something that is, kind of threw off like the routine that you've had, like the schedule that your dog's been on, that is causing them to kind of to go to the bathroom in the house
mhm.
or in their crate or something? Is it a medical issue or something? And so all these, like, you kind of got to get to the root of it, make sure that there isn't any what health problems, underlying
Sure.
health problems that need to be addressed before you can expecting your dog to be able to hold their bladder a little
Mhm.
longer or something. But absolutely, you should be able to, if there is no health problems, there should be able to train your dog, retrain your dog potty training.
Yeah.
And we've got a blog out there. We've got 5 tips on different ways to teach potty training all the way. It's very big on you got to keep an eye on your dog and be around and present when they are out roaming around. If you can't keep an eye on your dog, it is important to crate them, right? Put them somewhere where they generally don't go to the bathroom, and go to the bathroom, which is generally the crate and such.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're saying is consistency. Consistency is important. We can say that with every single answer here. Then the other thing when it comes to potty training, honestly, that's probably I love puppies to death. That is by far my least favorite thing when it comes to them is potty training.
Mhm.
Potty training is number one, and then crate training is number two. It's not fun. It's necessary. You have to do it. But it's not fun at all. And I always say as well, potty training is much more of an art than it is a science. Every single dog is a little bit different. But you got to give yourself a lot of grace too. If your dog struggles and you're doing your absolute best to try and keep working on that, keep focusing on that with them, that's really all that you can do. So just stick with it.
Yeah, like I said, we've got our potty training blog that goes over those 5 tips for, potty training your dog. We also have that, a digital guidebook that really walks you through those 5 tips and kind of explains how to implement it, why we implement it and such. But you made a good point about, potty training and crate training are 2 very important and necessary things you need to teach your dog that aren't just like the basic skills that are not fun to do. And so I wanted to lead that into the next question, which is, how do I crate train my dog without making them hate it?
Yeah. I'll take it away. You're the one who wanted to lead into this
So
question.
we've got another blog that is 5 crate training
just
tips.
plugging our stuff. blog.
Along with a digital guidebook that goes through what to do to what is the question that goes through crate training your dog. And it's not any, there's 2 aspects to it. There's putting them in the crate and making them deal with it when you're gone. It's very important for their safety to crate them when you are gone.
Yeah.
But when you are home, it's like when you're home, doing crate training with them is how you make it so that they enjoy the crate as well. Teaching them to go in the crate, feed them in the crate, reward them for going in the crate, give them, drop treats in there when they're being quiet in the crate, giving them, we do the peanut butter Kongs, just making it a positive experience, especially when you're home, so that, it's more of a safe place, a den for them and not a punishment at all.
Yeah. And initially, generally too, the dogs aren't going to absolutely love it. Because, you're their person, they're attached to you. They want to be with you all the time, but it has to happen. It avoids so many problems. We get so many calls and we go out and meet with these people and we do training with them over things that could have been avoided if they had just crate trained early on, because their dog has severe separation anxiety now. And that's because the dog was always with them. So there is very much, especially when it comes to crate training, there's a large amount of tough love, and it's really tough, but it's okay, dog, you have to go in here now. I love you to death. I got to go to work. We got to go to sleep. And you got to just kind of cry it out or whine it out. Right. And the more we do that, the more we give that tough love, and it still is love, the better they'll do. And the more quickly they'll do it. Good.
No, just the
comments. Yeah. So Jimmy, in a second, we will answer yours. I promise. That's a big one with storms. And then Allison, you're too sweet. Thank you so much. We love you. We appreciate that. So that's very kind of you.
I didn't know which question you wanted to go for next. Did you want to do another one or address?
I want to think about Jimmy's a little bit longer before I give my answer to it. I want to give a great answer to that one. So, all right, what one do we want to do next? What looks fun? Let's do this one. How much exercise does my dog really need? So that's a huge question. So we get a lot of clients who call us out and they run their dog a lot. They take them for bike rides and they do all the things in the world, and they give them all sorts of this physical stimulation. But they don't give them what we refer to as mental stimulation. That's a big thing that I would say 9 out of 10 houses that we go to are missing, is that they'll run their dog, they'll get them physically exhausted, but they will not make their dog think. And that's really where that comes in. That's the big problem, is that we're not making them spin those cogs up here to figure out things and to solve problems. So all the training that we do, regardless of what it is, the sits, downs, walking on the leash, coming when called, going to place and staying there. Literally anything you teach your dog is some level of a mental stimulation, because what that's doing is that's requiring the dog to not just follow its senses. And that's generally what I refer to a mental stimulation. What are you laughing about?
Keep going.
Okay. That's what I refer to as a mental stimulation, is anything that requires your dog to step outside of just following its 5 senses. So if it's not just being led by its nose everywhere, or it's not just being led by its eyes everywhere, or just led by its ears and following what it hears, you're giving it things that it has to do. So if I do a place command, my dog knows I need to go to that spot, I need to stay on that spot, and I cannot get off of that spot. What we're doing is we're forcing that dog to constantly be thinking, I can't get off, I can't get off, I can't get off. There's someone going by, I still can't get off, I still can't get off. And that's mentally stimulating the dog. So with this question, honestly, 90% of the time that we get this, it's not the physical stimulation that's the issue, it's the mental stimulation. You got anything to add to that?
I don't think so. I was laughing because I kind of spaced out a little bit. Not 100% sure what you said. So
We're live here, okay? Come on.
I may be repeating you when I say this.
Oh, man.
We like to say like 10 to 15 minutes a day of like dedicated training at least. And you're going to see a huge improvement in your dog's, mental state of mind and, energy levels.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, I didn't say that. So you're
okay.
good. You're fine. All right. So let's start we're getting a few questions. So let's start with Jimmy's here. So I believe if I click this, something cool will happen. That's awesome. All right. So his question is this. My dog freaks out during thunderstorms. So every evening here in Florida, they get them all the time in Florida. This is new behavior for him. He's about 8 years old. So this is probably something that a lot of us can relate to. If it's not thunderstorms, sometimes it's just loud noises outside. Sometimes it's fireworks. Sometimes it's gunshots if you live in not so great areas, depending on wherever you're at. It's just loud noises are going to freak your dogs out. And so the best thing you can do here, first off, a lot of it is honestly just, I'm sorry, that does stink. There are certain dogs that have such a high level of anxiety from loud noises that there's not a ton we can do with them. But like our dog, our Shyla, she used to be very, very nervous when it comes to thunderstorms. She doesn't care anymore. There's really 2 things that you can do. First off is you don't want to coddle your dog when they're nervous. So we could talk about this for an hour. Long story short, small dogs generally tend to be the worst dogs. And the reason being, not that we don't love small dogs, every time they get nervous, people scoop them up. And what's happening in dog language is I'm telling them, hey, this thing that you're doing when I pick you up, that's a good thing. And I want you to keep doing it. That's what dogs are getting from this physical affirmation or physical touch. So if I have a dog who's freaking out from thunderstorms and I pick him up or I call him up onto the couch with me and I hug him and I wrap my arms around him, what I'm doing is I'm telling that dog, hey, this nervousness, this is a good thing. And I want you to continue doing this thing, which isn't what we're trying to do here. That's not our goal at all, obviously, but that's what the dog is hearing. That's what we're showing them with our body language. Yeah. So step 1, don't coddle or comfort your dog. As mean as that sounds, I understand it. That's just how dogs work. Second is get them engaged in something. So what I like to do is if my dog is nervous around literally anything, be it sounds or movements or just literally anything, I like to get them doing something or I like to get them mentally stimulated onto something else. Yeah. So if I have a dog that's nervous around thunderstorms, what I'm doing, I'm getting some sort of a high reward. That can be cheese, that can be bologna, that can be a hot dog, that can be steak, depending on how well off you are. I don't care what it is. Something your dog really likes. And then you're going to constantly be getting your dog to do something. So even if that's I'm running them through my living room and I'm getting them to sit and here's some cheese. And then I'm releasing them. I'm getting them to sit, here's some cheese. Now I'm getting them to lay down and here's some cheese. What we're doing is we're getting their mind off of that thing because what's happening is they're obsessing on it because it's all that they're hearing. So that's kind of the 2 things there. And the big one there, do not comfort them is number 1. And the second one is keep them busy with training and mentally stimulating them. If you want your dog to truly stop doing that, that's going to be the best way for you to do that. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, there's the situations where you're not home to be able to take care of that, deal with that. And that's when crating your dog is going to be super key as well, because having less space to run around and freak out is going to help them settle too. And so, if they do have to be in their crate, filling a Kong, I was about to say a peanut butter with Kong. So filling a Kong with peanut butter and freezing it especially and giving them something to kind of lick at and everything. Cause licking is like a literal, I don't remember it releases those stresses. Oh. You know what I mean? And so like something like that, or like those lick mats or something. Yeah. Just something to kind of keep them occupied in the crate as well, kind of help keep their mind off of what's going on outside. Because, in a perfect world, we'd be able to work with them and, deal with it hands-on in every thunderstorm, but that's obviously not the case. We're not going to be up at 4 a.m. trying to, train our dog because the thunderstorm is happening.
For sure. Let's move on to Sharon's question. So Sharon says this. So her sweet dog, Reginald, passed away, and her other dog, Buddy, has been peeing in the house since. Now, I am a big enough man to say that I do not have the hold on, I almost just blocked. I almost just blocked Sharon on Facebook. Hold on. So I'm a big enough man to say that I honestly don't have the exact answer here. Like, do this, and Buddy is going to stop peeing. Well, what this is there's a lot of anxiety with Buddy. This dog, this thing he's gotten used to, is no longer around here, so he's probably a little bit nervous. Probably a little bit. Honestly, some of it too might be a dominance thing. So Reginald's out of the picture now, and he was the original dog. Now Buddy's kind of saying, hey, cool, this is my house, so I'm going to go around and I'm going to pee on everything, right? So there's a few things I would do, Aunt Sharon. First off is I don't believe Buddy is crate trained. That's a good one, because if he's not able to roam around all day, if there's certain times where you put him in a crate for a half hour or an hour, and then you take him out right away after that to go to the bathroom, there's not going to be as much of that desire to mark. And we can also kind of figure out if it is marking or if he just kind of also has to go to the bathroom to a degree as well, because he is a teeny little dog. But a lot of that I do think is the anxiety. And so with some of those things, time is the best healer, honestly. Reginald passed away, what, 3 months ago, 2 months ago?
Oh, wow.
It wasn't super long ago. So I would chalk some of that up to anxiety. And then I would also kind of just do my best to set him off on the right foot here, because there's not so much that you can do when it comes to something like that. Like a dog losing another dog, that can do all sorts of weird things in their head. So I know it's not the wonderful answer that you were hoping for, but sometimes that's really all that we can do.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes me think of the retrain my dog potty training question. You know, that's another situation that a lot of people, like a lot of dogs, go through. Like, you know, that's a big change in routine. You know, like they've got this like the system going on in the home, and then something like very drastically changes that. And so dogs kind of, they revert, they kind of go back. And if you catch it in time, you'll be able to prevent that from happening. But just because it started happening doesn't mean you can't fix it.
Yeah. Well, that's her next question. You saw that, right? The follow-up. Is it too late to do that?
Yeah.
So it's funny you say that, because one of our questions that we actually got here, or that was listed before, is, where'd it go? Is it too late? What am I missing here?
Which one? Potty training?
Is it too late to train my dog?
Oh.
I was just looking at it.
Can a still older dog still be
Okay,
trained?
so one of the questions we got here was this. It says, can an older dog still be trained, or is it too late? Now, I know Buddy isn't an older dog. He's still a baby. He's a puppy. But they kind of tie into the same thing. So first off here, the answer is it's never too late to train a dog something new. One of the best dogs we ever had, and it was one of the first dogs we ever trained. His name was Max, wasn't it? Was it Max?
No. Max was the super old one. I can't remember the middle one.
I can't remember either. But so he was an old dog. He was like 11 or 12, and he was one of the best dogs that we've ever trained. He was absolutely wonderful. So no, it is never too late to train your dog, regardless of what that is. If that's potty training, if that's crate training. And Sharon, you've been here, so you saw what I was just saying about the crate training. Get him a small crate. Get a small crate. He's a small dog. Get him a crate that has enough room for him, but isn't too big, and put him in there. Put him in there when you leave. Put him in there when you go to bed. It doesn't have to be all the time, but it is not too late to do it. And just give him a little bit of tough love, and that can help you quite a bit. So I'm trying to keep track here.
So, well, Christy's talking about
Christy ate the floor. The dog ate the floor of the crate.
Yes. And I believe that was a wire crate with like that plastic tray.
Yeah.
They have high anxiety crates or other crates. Our dog, she would break out of every crate when thunderstorms happen. So we had to get a Roughland kennel.
Yeah,
Is that what it is? With a metal door so that she couldn't chew her way out of it. And so sometimes investing in a higher quality crate is what's necessary too.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it seems expensive, but in the long run, like, are you buying this slightly more expensive crate, or am I replacing these $1,000, $2,000 of like house damages?
Yeah. We had a lot of dogs or clients that dogs have broken out of their crates, and it ends up costing way more than just to get a nice crate. Christy, if you're still here watching, comment and let us know. Was it one of those? Well, I mean, we've been over before. I think it was just one of those wire crates, right? And then has the plastic on the bottom. Dogs are really good at getting a hold of those things and just ripping them up, especially if they're super anxious. So yeah, like Esther said, it's worth it investing money in crates. We've spent way more money than I would like to on dog crates, but they've lasted us a long time, and it's well worth it. So going back to that crate training question, make sure you invest in a good crate for your dog. That's a big, big part of it as well, for your safety and for, more importantly, for the dog's safety, because they can hurt themselves with it. So, wait, which one?
Your mom.
Okay, so my mother commented and said, How do we stop a dog from growling at me? So
She doesn't have a dog.
she doesn't have a dog.
Not her dog.
Mom, I appreciate the support though. But we would need, if one of you guys are here, right? If one of you guys have that question that sees this and you have a genuine question about my dog is growling at me, why is that happening? We'll need a lot more information.
Mhm.
When is your dog growling at you? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We can't answer that one because that's just a hypothetical dog. But what I would say is hire us. Okay, hire me.
Yeah.
I'll come over. I'll get your dog to stop growling at you.
Yeah.
So that'd be great. Next up is Jenna. She said, my dog always knocks the trash down when I am not around with him. How do I stop that? So Jenna, this is all really like kind of the same answer for a lot of this. I would crate train your dogs when you're not around, Jenna. We cannot hold dogs accountable, guys, that we're not around for. So if my dog does something silly when I'm away, what am I going to do about it? There's literally nothing I can do. That's why all dogs are crate trained. Every dog we train, we crate train them. Every dog we work with, we highly recommend you crate train them. When we get a new dog that's our personal dog, it's crate trained. So if your dogs are doing these crazy things when you're not home, please crate train them, because I mean, that can become a life or death thing too. Dogs can eat something they're not supposed to. They can get caught and snagged on something. Dogs have died because they're left out when people are gone. And Jenna, your precious little dogs, we wouldn't want anything to happen to them. So I would definitely put them away and crate them when you're not home. That'll be the best option there.
Yeah, I do want to kind of address that. Like if they sneak into another room though, you know, like you're hanging out in the living room and then you all of a sudden you hear them digging it in the kitchen or something like that, right? Yeah. And so obviously the quickest and easiest one would be an e-collar. You kind of set them up so that they, like, okay, put something extra smelly in the garbage can that'll get them to go after it. Have the e-collar on, be sitting in the other room where you can kind of keep an eye on it or at least hear them. And then when you hear them or see them going into it, you give them that correction, whether it's a vibrate, a low level stim. And then, don't say anything either. You don't want them to associate you being around with that, that correction. Otherwise they'll just be like, okay, they're not around now, then I can do it. So it's, it's anytime, whether you're around or not, they get that little correction and they don't want to do it again.
Yeah. So on going back to the chat here real quick, you did a great job there. I have nothing to add to that. So Christy and Jimmy, you guys were saying that this is a newer behavior. Let me ask you this. I know that your precious other dog passed away recently. Did this happen like anytime, like shortly after that, or has it been, months and months and months and now it's just popped up? So if you're still watching, comment that, because that'll kind of impact our answer here. Moving onward, and we'll get back to that once you answer. Betty, if you're still watching, you are absolutely wonderful, and we appreciate you, and you're so sweet. And working with you guys has been such a blessing to us. You guys have been so helpful. You've gotten us so many clients too, so I could sit here for a while and just sing your praises.
This doesn't show the whole question.
He is great with people sitting nicely while they pass, but with dogs, he lays down and wait. And then if I read the rest of it, it says, Tyler is very handsome, and I just love having him around, and he's such a joy to me. That's a lie. I'm just kidding. But Betty, thank you so much. It's been so wonderful working with you and your two dogs, and we appreciate you guys so much.
So he waits, what does it say? And gets really excited around other dogs, right?
Yeah.
And so we've actually been working on, this is another little plug, but what is it? Right. Coming soon.
Plug it, yeah.
We've been working on socialization. That's a big thing when it comes to dog training, is getting our dogs out and around all these things. And it's very important with socialization to not necessarily get your dog to greet and see everybody and everything and every dog that you come across, but to be around them and learn what to do in that situation. So if your dog if he's going to be super excited every time he sees another dog, get him out around as many dogs as you can without ever meeting them.
Yeah.
And that's teaching him, hey, these dogs are so cool. They look so much fun. I really want to go play with them, but I need to stay focused on my handler because I'm working right now. And so teaching them that, not every dog you see is a dog that you're going to go play with. If you want to let your dog play with another dog, that would be you and a friend setting up a time for them to come over, you to go to their house, and, doing some proper greetings and such. But getting them out in public and everything is just getting them around them and expecting them to stay calm. The more they get around this stuff, the quicker they'll be to calming down, to the point where, seeing another dog doesn't really faze them. Just today,
Mhm.
we brought Gypsy to an evaluation, and she didn't care at all about the other dog, right? And if you see her in our backyard with other dogs, she is the annoying little sister that runs
Yep.
and bites at
It's
their ankles and
obnoxious.
everything.
Yep.
Is crazy. But she's on a leash. We are working, and so she knows not to get too excited or try to pull and see all these other dogs, because because we've set that expectation and we've worked her around so many dogs in those situations, that it's just another dog that hello from afar kind
Yeah.
of thing.
There's one of the questions that we had before was, how do I get my dog to listen when there are distractions around? And I think one of the big things, like if I had to put it in, like a catchy little thing that you could put like on a shirt or something, I would say you immerse, not interact. And so what I mean by that is what Esther was just saying, or you put on a shirt or something and sell that. So immerse, not interact. We want to get our dogs around the things that get them excited, right? We want them to be around it constantly. But not directly interacting with it. Because like Esther was just saying, if they think they can then interact, then they're always going to pull to it. They're always going to be so distracted by it. That's going to be the only thing they focus on. If they know, hey, it's there, not a big deal, I don't get to go see it, they're not going to care as much. So just keep doing that. Just keep working him around it. Like when he was with us, that's what we do a ton. All the obedience we're running him through, we're constantly doing it around kids and other dogs, but we're not allowing them to engage with that stuff during training. Now, when we're relaxing and things like that later, we don't mind a little bit of interaction and playing and wrestling and all that fun stuff. But when we're out for a walk or when we have an objective here, we're not letting our dog just go and meet everything that they want to. So I hope that makes sense. You said 100% agree. Thanks. So if you have any other questions, please let us know. Let's see. So Chris, Jenna, yeah. So a good e-collar. So hold on, let's see if this won't like be super blurry or anything here. Look at that. It's like I'm putting some Greek, like good luck reading that, guys. So this is called a Mini Educator, and it's from a company called e-collar Technologies. That's the collars that we use for all dogs. They're just such wonderful collars. The company, I think they're based in Ohio, and don't hold that against them. But
Indiana.
Oh, it's in Indiana. Okay, they're good then. They're just wonderful. They've been so good to us. They've been so good to our clients. They constantly, if there's any problems with the collars, they replace them. I mean, like that, no questions asked. They're a wonderful company. So if you're going to do training and you're going to use an e-collar, which an e-collar is an exceptional tool, that is the company that I highly suggest.
Yeah, that's also one of those tools that you really want to invest in. These e-collars are upwards of $200+
Yes. Yeah.
but that price is worth it for the quality and of this e-collar. Our dogs have had theirs for over 8 years now, and they're still working perfectly.
Waterproof. They get the daylights beat out of them. The collars, not the dogs. Be very clear there, okay? The collars get very beat up from wrestling and all that kind of stuff, and they still hold up wonderfully. So yeah, if you're doing that training or you're doing e-collar training, that's what I suggest. I also suggest you hire us to help you, because like we were talking about earlier, when it comes to having the right tool, you also need to use the tool the right way. So we can help you with that. So get in touch if you need help with e-collar training.
Jimmy said that they should sponsor us. We do. What is it called? We do have a dealer discount with them, so we are able to get discounts on them.
Yeah,
so.
But I would love a sponsorship. I'd love to have a bunch of collars behind us, and they're sending us thousands of dollars.
On all of them.
I'll wear a T-shirt for them if they're paying me for it. So I mean, come on, that's the thing. If you're watching e-collar Technologies and you want all 9 of these viewers to check out your stuff, we got you covered. All right. So next up we have. Where was the question? Oh, I don't want to skip over Christy on accident.
Yeah, in that last 3 weeks.
Oh, I didn't even mean to click on that. So Christy, that would be one of those things where I would have to, I suppose, see more of it. There's always going to be something that causes this with dogs. So,
and like it could have been something super small too that
you
don't even realize.
Sometimes
like
dogs too.
Loud noise or.
Yeah, when they as well. Sometimes dogs too, when they get older, they start getting a little weirder around new things as well. And there's not really a cause to it. There's not like a specific thing. They just get more sensitive. They get even maybe more grouchy. So it's very possible that there's not like a specific, this is what did it. It's just he's gotten a little older. Maybe he got a little bit of anxiety from it. Maybe there was one like super loud one that for some reason startled him, and now he associates that with the anxiety and
it's like silly. Like obviously this wouldn't be the case, but like it could be something as silly as like, oh, I bit my tongue when I heard a super loud thunder.
It can be ridiculous stuff.
And so like that, then they now associate these loud noises with something they don't like and get nervous.
Yep. So it can be anything, but Christy, back to what we were saying earlier, though, I would just make sure you're not comforting them for it, and then get some really good food and kind of, use some of that. You're Italian and you cook really, really well, so make up something delicious and then use that for him, and then I'm sure he'll behave. It's the same thing you do with Jimmy, so it won't be a problem there. What else do we have here? So we have Emily.
Yeah.
What are signs that my dog is anxious or stressed during training? Emily, that's a wonderful question. Yeah. So when it comes to training, I've been talking a lot. You start here.
Oh my goodness! Are you serious?
Oh, you're not ready. I just wanted to drink.
I mean, a biggest sign is, well, how they're acting, drooling or being slow and hesitant.
Freezing up.
When we do training and everything, we always start out with the positive. We always use a lot of treats and praise and reward. There is absolutely nothing that should be scary or nerve-wracking about that, right? And so you got to build up that trust and everything, and then when you add in the corrections, that's when they have a little bit more of that confidence. And so when you add in those corrections, you kind of make them a little bit more nervous again. And that would be, and it's pretty obvious. You'll see them being super eager and excited to be working and training and earning these treats, and then they kind of slow down and are hesitant to listen to you. The biggest thing is kind of work through that. If I notice that my dog gets nervous, then I'm going to want to, go back to the basics, do a few super simple tricks, like, get them to sit a couple times and then finish that session there. Because, one, we want to make sure we end on a good note. And two, we don't want to overdo it when they are nervous. However, you also don't want to, be like, the second they are nervous, you're like, okay, we're done, like, don't want to make it worse. You kind of got to help them through it by pushing them a little bit and pausing before you get there. And so help me, because that's not the question. Other signs. The biggest one is good. Like the slowing down, like the hesitation, drooling. I think, you have, like, during training, but also in social situations. What are some signs of nervousness and stress there?
Them being overwhelmed. I mean, I think of the dog that we worked with today. They freeze, they kind of turn into a statue. You'll see a little bit of drooling. You sometimes even see kind of like what I call like a question mark tail wag. And what I mean by that is, like, you see when dogs are really excited and the tail's just going like this, but then you have it where you have more of the inquisitive one where they kind of freeze and, the tail's doing like a little bit like that. Sometimes if that's paired with some drooling and some freezing, they're probably pretty darn nervous in that circumstance. Now, if we're training the right way, though, very seldom should our dog actually be nervous. So if your dog is nervous all the time while you're training, it might not be the training. It might be that something else is lending itself to those nerves. So I would definitely kind of check up on that. If that's something specifically that's happening with somebody here, give us some more specifics there. If your dog seems nervous, let us know, and give us some of the details, and we can help out more with that. But yeah, just really sticking with it. And then not to add anything to what you said, but to emphasize, make sure that you're doing it at a fair amount of time. So when we train dogs, we're doing it like 15 minutes max, maybe, in a perfect scenario. Now, when we have in-homes, we do longer. But if we train a dog for too long, then they can get stressed out very easily. So
yeah, you made a good point about, like, it's not necessarily like the training us, like teaching them something that's what's making them nervous. It's generally something else. And so, like I said, it's generally when corrections come into play that they get a little nervous, or it would be something like outside, some other distractions. Some dogs, they get nervous about other dogs. And so if you're working outside and another dog gets too close, then you might start seeing them, like, lose focus on you. And that, and that's because they're like, oh, what's this dog going to do?
Right.
I got to keep an eye on them so that, nothing bad happens or anything.
Yep. The next comment that we have here is from Jimmy. Do those e-collars work on your spouse? So, Jimmy, the reason I pull this up is because this is a question that I get from, like, every single client I ever work with e-collars. And long answer is yes.
Long answer.
That's the longest answer I can give. No. I mean, yeah, they would, but I can't help you with that. So that's up to you.
It would work in a way, but probably
Chris can have like 4, so I'd be cautious that they work. So let's move on. We have some of the here. Start with this one. One of the question we wrote down. It says, if you could only teach one command, what would it be and why? So do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
Well, you and I have kind of debated this and talked about it. We've got two different standpoints, and I don't know how we're going to debate this.
It's not really a debate just because I'm right. So.
For sure. Yeah. Well, then I'll take the better one that I think is better. And I'm going to say the one command I would teach is the place command.
Okay.
Okay, you tell me
Wait.
yours first.
That's not fair. Okay, so then we agree. So the place command is by far my favorite command that we teach any dog ever.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's the place command, it's sending your dog to a spot that you designated. And we do the raised cots because dogs just do better and stay longer on a raised cot. So my dog, I tell them to go to place and they have to go to it and they have to stay there no matter what's going on.
Right.
That means I can put them on place anywhere and avoid a lot of problems. Guests coming in the door, I don't have to worry about them jumping on them. I'm trying to cook dinner. I don't have to worry about my dog tripping me when I'm walking from the stove to the fridge. Kids are running around and being a little too overwhelming. Put the dog on place. They're out of the way and I don't have to worry about that. And so place just has so many different.
So good.
Place has so many different situations that you can use it. That is my favorite command. And that's why I would teach it. However, the other day you said, go into why you said recalls are coming on
recall
command.
isn't my favorite. Recall is the most important command that we teach.
If you could only teach one command.
Yeah, so place
would it be
is my favorite command. Recall is the most important command. So recall is, in my opinion, the only command that can save your dog's life. Go on about that.
Absolutely. And yes, so I totally get that because, for me, I'm like, okay, I could just put my dog on place to avoid things. But, that means I do have to work around all these different scenarios. But recalls, those are the life or death situations that you might find yourself in more so than, I need my dog to sit in the house or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
Sorry. I'm good now. I got choked up thinking about all the dogs that don't know recalls and sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, it's really quite simple, right? A recall is you call for your dog and it comes to you when it's called. I don't need to explain to you how that can save a dog's life, right? Your dog chases after something. Your dog runs out into the road. It's a tale as old as time, gets hit by a car, right? And then it goes bad.
That sounds like a fairy tale thing.
I
associate that with, and so
I think it's a Disney thing. It's Disney. Disney, if you want to sponsor us, all 11 viewers. And so yeah,
we jumped up to 11.
So yeah, it is.
Gaining traction.
It's such an important command, and it's very intimidating to a lot of people. It's really quite simple to teach your dog to. It's just, once again, we go back to consistency. We train all dogs for recalls on an e-collar as well. We refer to it as a wireless leash, right? So we know that dog has that accountability, and we can get him back if we need him to. What?
Sorry, Marcy.
Yeah, so it's very funny that Marcy says that, because that's literally was going to be. Oh, she said cats are better than dogs. Marcy, you are so wrong. How do I ban people? Hold on. So Marcy chose to embarrass herself publicly in front of thousands of our viewers. So we could not disagree more. That is very wrong. CJ, in answering your question of what are dogs, they kind of look like cats, but then they're better in every single way. So that answers those two questions. Next up.
Well, don't skip over Jenna.
Look at Alex's dumb question. So if my dog has diabetes, goodness gracious. Oh man. All right, let's go to some serious questions here.
Add a new puppy, Jenna.
Okay, sorry guys. Composure. All right, so Jenna had this question before. Stop it. If I was to add a new puppy to the home, what's the best way to introduce them to my two dogs? Man, that's a wonderful question. I would first off introduce them outside. So what we like to do is meet on like a mutual territory. That way, if there is any weirdness about territory, we can remove that, right? So have them meet on it. We have a question.
Yes,
you can meet on a next door neighbor's lawn, kind of meet on the leash and see what their initial reaction is. And you can generally know pretty quickly if the dogs are going to get along or if you're going to need some more help. And it's kind of as simple as that. They just got to meet. Go ahead.
So my question for you is, would you say that's the same for bringing in a puppy versus an older dog?
I was specifically talking about a puppy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when it comes to a puppy, I think that's the best way to do that.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to introducing an adult dog,
I mean, they generally
that can be more complicated.
when you're adopting an adult dog, you generally tend to have them meet
Meet ahead of
beforehand
time.
anyway,
Yeah.
so it's
Yep.
not in the home.
I think what I would
Okay.
just say is step number one is just you want to have the dogs meet off of property, not at your house. You want to take them somewhere else, have them meet, and then walk them into the house together.
Mhm.
That's the number one thing. And then if there's any complications there, you can ask that specifically and we can address that more. But meet at a mutual point.
Yeah, and then that just kind of makes me think of the whole like proper greetings as well. If my dog is pulling on the leash to say hi or see or meet some other dog or person or anything, then they shouldn't be allowed to greet or see that person or anything, because you're just teaching your dog that pulling on the leash and acting crazy is what gets them what they want.
Yeah, for sure. Fill those out for me really quickly while I answer the next one. So if we move on, please do that for me. Once again, Christy, do you train husbands? This is not our area of expertise, okay? Esther's never
We're
had
dog trainers.
Yeah, Esther's never had a single problem with me, so she doesn't.
Well,
there's
you
nothing
see
there.
how he turned out. I have no advice. That was by the grace of God.
yeah, right. Give him a Bible, okay? Let him read that, and then problem solved. So
Pray for your husband.
CJ, and answer that question. I have not actually ever seen a dog. I'm just making all this up as we go along.
He wears blindfold when he goes.
I close my eyes. So moving on here. So we already answered, can an older dog still be trained? Any dog can be trained. It can never be too old. What's the next question we want to do? How long does it take? How long does training take to actually work? Man, that's a great question. So how long does training take to actually work? Or how long after training can I expect to see some progress made? So when it comes to training, you'll see progress immediately. The difference is between seeing progress and then seeing consistent progress, right? So I can take any dog and I can get him to behave around other dogs for a half hour, right? Now, is that going to transfer over into we go to sleep and then we wake up the next morning and my dog is still behaving really well around other dogs? The answer is more than likely no, right? So everything's a little bit different depending on what the command is that you're working on, but you can see progress immediately, but consistency can take weeks, right? So when we do training with people, we generally sell packages. So we do 3 in-homes, 5 in-homes, 7 in-homes, and 10 in-homes. Rarely do we use the 10 in-homes. Rarely does that happen because we don't tend to need that much time for it. But we will sometimes, the 7 and the 5 generally are the kind of sweet spot. And that transfers over into, 5 weeks or 7 weeks, sometimes a little bit longer. So, you should kind of set a goal. Okay, I'm going to work on my dog with these things, and we're going to see where he's at in a month. We're going to see where he's at in 2 months. You should start seeing some substantial progress and consistent progress at that point. So every dog is different, but you should definitely be seeing progress.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, how long does it take to see progress, right? And that's how, it doesn't take long for you to start seeing the progress and everything. But I mean, training is a lifelong thing, right?
Yep,
And
yeah.
so, you're never going to reach a point where you're like, okay, my dog's perfect. I don't need to work on anything else. Even if it is just like the extra, fun and exciting tricks or whatever,
Yes. Yeah.
always keeping your dog engaged and everything is super important.
Yeah. Keep it going. I'm sending the stream to people so more people join. Let's do the next question.
We got another one.
Ooh.
Hold up.
Answer that one for Emily. That's
All right.
a
How
wonderful
long
question.
should a training session last? So when we have our in-home lessons, we schedule them for an hour, and that's generally because we don't want people to pay us to come to their house for 15 minutes. Because 15 minutes is more ideal when you're at
Right.
home.
I'm not driving 45 minutes to see you for 15 minutes. It just ain't happening.
So and now, you can. It also depends on what you're working on with your dog, but we always.
I was trying to stretch out my bag, but listen, I'm just flexing on the camera. I'm embarrassed.
So when you start, you're gonna want to start a little shorter. 5 to 15 minutes a day. We generally, a day, or like if you can do up to 2 times a day, that's great, obviously. But it doesn't take a lot to make the progress. As your dog gets better, and they're focused, dogs need to learn how to learn. And so they, at first, when you first start training with them, they will kind of conk out quickly.
Right.
And then, as you continue working on it, they will get, they will be able to last longer and longer.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you get further along in their training, the biggest example is the place command. If I'm going to focus on the place command, I will get to a point where I can put them on place and they expect them to stay for an hour, right? And that would be a whole hour of training for the dog. And that's where it's like, okay, make sure you have something to do in that time too.
Yeah.
But, I obviously can't expect dogs that are first starting out to be able to last a whole hour with training. But my dog who has been practicing, every day or, multiple times a week and knows these commands, like they can hold a stay. I'm not going to be doing like physical, like sit down, heel, come, like all these different like movement commands for a whole hour. It's just like the stays that I would really expect them to do longer. Anything else, training sessions, we always say 5 to 15 minutes a day will make a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Got nothing to add there. So we have Katie. She says, love that you guys are doing videos. It's so educational. Also, Pappy knows place the best, and it really does help. So Katie and her husband, they own Village Animal Healthcare in Trenton. So if you're local in Michigan, in Trenton, they are the absolute best vets. I mean, they are the sweetest. Quick, go off camera before you die. Way to ruin that plug for Katie, babe. They are the absolute best. I mean, they're absolutely wonderful. They're the sweetest couple. They're very kind to us and have been good to us and our business. They're just absolutely fantastic. So I wouldn't take my dogs anywhere else. Unfortunately, right now, I don't need a vet. I need a doctor because I think Esther might be dying over in the corner. So
my water.
This is a solo stream now. Let me get more center picture here. Let's see what else do we have next. I'm going to once again skip over Alex's comments because they're all right. So Patty, you have Gunner has extra energy after a walk. How can we calm him down? So Patty, if you actually go back to earlier in the stream, we talked about physical stimulation versus mental stimulation. So you want to make sure that you're mentally exhausting your dog. You're constantly running them through things that require them to engage in thought. Okay. Anything that's not just their senses, they're chasing something, they're going after a loud noise. Those are the things that you want to be working on with them. So make sure, I did not mean to show that one. Make sure, where is she at? Okay, this is the question in talk. So you should definitely, oh my gosh, Alex, this stupid question.
Okay, so anyways, I was recovering from dying, so you might have covered it. When it comes to walking, especially, there are two different types of walks. You have, a walk where your dog is, walking nicely. They might not be pulling on the leash or anything, but they're just kind of doing whatever they want. And then you have your structured walk, which is expecting your dog to stay by your side and then pausing at corners or something and getting them to do some of the basic commands, kind of working their brain. Hey, we got a little pause here. Let's do some sits and downs and everything. And then continue walking. Get your focus on me. And so if I'm adding these little, like, I don't want to say tricks, like these little like basic commands throughout the walk, that works his brain a little more so that physical exercise is paired with that mental stimulation, that mental exercise, and helps them be a lot more calm when they're home. Also, generally dogs don't tend to have too much energy after a walk, but if they do, putting them on place, putting them on their bed and requiring them to stay there helps them to realize that they are actually tired and relax. So kind of giving them like a pause button before they can kind of get up and do their own thing when they're at home.
Yeah. Jimmy, our kids are crated right now. That's why they're being so well behaved. So look at that.
Jimmy, I wasn't talking to you.
Look at that. Oh man, that's really great. Because I was gonna say, finally, we have a good question from somebody whose last name is Johnson, because we have these three here asking crazy questions. But now both CJ and Marcy have asked good questions. So Alex, we're just waiting on you, buddy. All right, if you want to think of a good question here. So he said, what would be a good breed of dog for families to have, and how easy would it be for them to train? So we actually just recorded a short about this a couple days ago. Has that been posted yet?
I don't think so.
All right, Jenna, get on that. If you can post that short, please, sometime soon. The good dog for somebody is depending on the family. Okay. Do we have a dog or do we have a family that's really constantly busy, constantly doing anything? Do we have a family that's really relaxed and likes to just hang around, kind of homebodies? That's going to depend on which dog you should get generally. And then the second part you said, how easy would it be for them to train? That's very dependent on the dog. You can get the same breed and still get two very different dogs. You can have two German Shepherds. One of them can be kind of a couch potato. One of them can be crazy and want to run around all day long, right? So the breed matters, but it doesn't matter as much as we think it does. it's going to be the training that matters more. And, you have dogs that soak up training really fast. I'm partial to German Shepherds. I just love them dearly. But most dogs, I'm just partial to like herding dogs as well. But
Yeah.
most dogs are going to pick up on training pretty easy if you're doing it the right way. It's very seldom do we come across a dog that's, it's this breed. We're not going to be able to train it, or it doesn't take to training well. For the most part, as long as you're training dogs in the right way, they're going to do well with it. So that's a good question. It's so dumb, but I absolutely love this question that Alex asked. Marcy, you said, how long is too long for a dog to stay in the kennel during the day? Do you have tips to entertain them? So that's a tough question, right? The reason being is because you can put a dog in a crate as long as you need to. And what I mean by that is if you have the option of you work 8 hours a day, so your option is either I'm going to take my dog and surrender it to a shelter because it's in a crate too long, or I'm going to crate my dog all day and then I'm going to come home after work and we're going to do stuff. I would much rather you pick the second one, right? That's a big thing that we get a lot. Man, I crate them too long. I got to give them up. Trust me, your dog would much rather be crated at your home waiting for you than be crated away at a shelter with no owner, right? So if you have to leave them in, I would say obviously 8 hours should be the max.
Yeah.
If you're doing any longer than that, even more than like 6 or 7 hours, I would maybe see if there's somebody who can help you or take your dog to a daycare or something like that. But don't feel bad if you have to crate them for a while.
Drop-in visits.
Yeah. As far as entertaining them, the best one we find is like a Kong. They're the little, we should have had one in here, but
shape.
they look like a little snowman kind of. And we fill them with peanut butter and then we freeze them.
Yeah.
That way the dog takes a lot longer to eat at them. So what we'll do is we'll give them one of those, and that just kind of sets them up on the road to success. That way they have something to basically chew on to entertain them while they're bored in their crate. Oh, that's a good question from Alex too. So, what did Patty say? The 3 dogs go flying in the living room after Gunner's Walk. Once again, Patty, that's just a physical stimulation, not a mental. So, and that's tougher to mentally stimulate 3 dogs. I totally understand that. But that's just when you get so many dogs, that's just kind of something that we sign on to that we have to do that. Alex, so you had a good question here. He said this: I've heard concrete or roads can really hurt a dog's feet in the summer. What would you recommend? Boots, pads, or what store would you recommend? So there's a few things here. He's absolutely right. I mean, concrete, especially the black top, I mean, that can get to like 130, 140, 150 degrees. Good thing to always do is if you're going to walk your dog on something, take your shoe off and step on it yourself. If it's burning your skin, don't take your dog on it. The boots are a great option. They're just something that you have to spend a lot of time training your dog on. Because if you go YouTube it after this, like dogs walking with shoes on, it's hysterical because they're just going crazy. So you'll have to train them on it. There's another thing. It's called Musher's Secret. And unfortunately, it's in there. We'd have to find it. But it's this little like a gel or a cream that you put on the dogs. It's called Musher's Secret because what they would do is they put it on the, mushing dogs or sled dogs, because it would help them from the cold and it would help keep the snow out of getting between their pads. So what we do sometimes is we take that and we just kind of cake up the bottom of a dog's paw, and it creates a protective surface between the paw and the hot pavement. So boots are great if you want to put in the time to train them on it. If you don't want to, get some of that Musher Secret and just slather your dog's paw on it, and that'll help quite a bit. So that's a great question. As far as the store, both of those we got on Amazon. So Amazon, if you want to sponsor us, reach out. We'll work something out here. So do you have anything to add to that, or was that perfect?
That was good.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. So it says we already did that one. We just got a few more questions here, guys, because we don't want to go for 3 hours here. So thanks for sticking with us. I can't believe you're all still here after an hour. I don't want to do that one. Here's my W dominant. Should I do?
What the difference between obedience training?
Absolutely. So it says here, what's the difference between obedience training and behavior modification? So if I had to put this really simple, I had to answer this in like 1 or 2 sentences. I would say obedience training is teaching your dog something new, and behavioral training is changing something that's already learned, right? So if you have a dog that is constantly lunging on the leash, that would be behavior modification, because we're teaching that dog, well, really we're doing both, right? The behavior modification is, hey, stop lunging to the end of the leash. And the obedience is, this is where I need you. Behavior modification is like you have an aggressive dog, right? We're trying to almost untrain or retrain something that the dog has already learned, right? So in that circumstance, that's behavioral modification. If it's I want to teach my dog to sit, to walk on the leash, to come when called, to go to place and not get off, to have a wonderful stay, that's all I would say obedience training. But if it's I don't want my dog to jump on somebody, that's going to be behavior modification. So when you train your dog, really, you're kind of splitting hairs there. You're kind of doing both of those at the same time. So there is a bit of a difference, but it's nothing that really matters. Truly, I wouldn't worry too much about it. If you hear someone like, we're a behavioral modification trainer, they're a dog trainer. Okay, let's stop being dramatic here. It's not a big deal. So, oh, whoops, I kept, Alex has got a lot of showtime on that one. What do you want to do next?
Well, Emily just asked a question. I was going to do,
let's answer Emily's, and then we'll do like a speed round of like 3 more here because we're at literally just hit an hour, and we'll end it there. An hour's way too long. I love it, but I could go for days. But
sure.
All right. So Emily, what is your question?
Close to questions.
Okay.
Is what we are.
Helen, you're absolutely right. Walking, even if you don't have a dog, walking with other people who walk their dogs and stuff is a wonderful way to meet people. People tend to be pleasant when they see a cute dog too. So yeah, that's awesome. And thank you. Emily, you said what to use when training. What to use when I'm training and the dog isn't food motivated. So man, oh man, having a dog that's not food motivated is the absolute worst. I mean, it's horrible.
Mhm.
I can't, it's so bad when I go to a client's house and they go, my dog wants nothing to do with food. It makes it so much more difficult. So there's a few things here. And for the sake of time, I'm going to try and answer quickly. First off, get your dog on a food schedule. If a dog free feeds, then they don't want the food. So think of it this way. Dogs are kind of, it's in their DNA. They're what we call opportunistic feeders, which mean wolves will learn if there's food present, even if I'm not hungry, I'm going to eat that thing, right? If I come across a dead squirrel, I'm chowing down on that thing because the food might not be present later. We take these dogs, we take these wolves into our homes and we show them, hey, the food is always going to be there. So that opportunistic feeding goes away. They go, oh, the food's here. I don't need to eat it when it's present, right? So if we start getting them on a feeding schedule, here you eat, the food is here at this time, and the food is here at this time, and that's it. And it's going to come up after 5 minutes, and you're not going to get it again until that next set time. Then they're going to go back to that opportunistic feeding, and they're going to want that food more. So that's the first thing. Second thing is find other forms of motivation. So a lot of times if a dog isn't food motivated, we'll find that they're very praise motivated. They like being praised, right? Good boy, good girl, getting affection, things like that. Yeah, getting patted, getting pet, getting love, right? So figure out what it is that motivates your dog. Some of our dogs, they're motivated by their prey drive. So we use like a ball on a rope to train them, right? So figure out what gets your dog going and then use that, okay?
Mhm.
So that's the answer to that. Marceline, what do I do if my dog keeps acting like a cat? Well, Marcy, you probably get rid of that dog and then get a dog that acts like a dog. That would be the easiest solution there. So let's do.
Never mind. You were talking about not sending a dog to a shelter.
Yeah, right. That was a joke. Obviously, don't get rid of it. She's joking, okay? Don't surrender your dogs, guys, okay? Let's do 2 questions here, and then we'll end it. So
Okay.
what one? You pick one, I'll pick one.
Well, the second to the last one.
All right, you pick that one. Go ahead and start while I
All
find
right, so
mine.
the question, is it okay to use treats in training? Will my dog become dependent on it? It's absolutely okay to use treats in training. And honestly, like, why not use food when you can?
Why not make it fun?
I get it to a point, like you do need to teach your dog that they can't, like, you can't fully rely on treats. And that's where fading the lure comes into play. And that's teaching them, like, to listen to, these commands and everything. So we teach dogs everything we want them to know with treats. And then we also teach them that if they don't listen to us, there are consequences. And that teaches them that, like, that teaches them to not completely rely on the treats because, there are consequences for not listening. And so they do want to avoid that, right? Well, everybody wants to avoid their consequences. Right. And so, no, not the dog, your dog won't become dependent on treats if you can fade the lure, if you train him properly. But what I like to say is, like, I still like to use treats with my dogs. I still want to make training fun or having them listen to me fun. I do want to reward them. And, sometimes just petting them is all I can do because I don't have food on hand. But, there's nothing wrong with keeping a few treats in your pockets to give your dog when they when they do something
Yeah.
especially good.
We just don't want to rush off of rewarding the dog. Your dog shouldn't need it to do it, right? That's like the end point with training. But you don't want to rush off it. And we get that question a lot. Man, my dog's still on treats. And well, that's how you motivate them, right? It's like saying, at what point should my boss stop paying me for doing my job? It's like, I'd prefer they never stop that, right? Or I'll stop doing the job. Now, dogs are different than people, right? And we layer in correction and such, which is what gets that consistency. But to start with, no. I mean, we're using tons of treats, tons of petting, tons of affection, all the fun stuff, because we want our dogs to absolutely love it. So now the last question, we'll close with this one. It says this: what's the number one thing that I should be doing every day to improve my dog's behavior? Can you guess what I'm going to say? Yes. Okay. We'll say it. I'll say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll say the word at the same time. Okay. And you better get it right. Okay. So what's the number one thing I should be doing every day to improve my dog's behavior? 3, 2, 1. Training. Nailed it. Nailed it. So train your dog. Okay. Nice and simple. If you want your dog's life to be better, if you want your life to be better, if you want the relationship and the bond between you and your dog to be better, train your dog. It's so good for him. It's so fulfilling when you see the dog that you've put so much time into learn the things that you've dedicated to teaching it. It's just incredible. I mean, that's why we do what we do. We see the transformation in these dogs. We see the owners' faces light up because the dog is doing so well. So just for you and for your dog, and if you want them to behave better, train them every day, 1 to 3 times, 10 to 15 minutes each time. I mean, you're under an hour every single day in training, and it can still make a absolutely tremendous difference.
Sure.
So we will close with that. You guys, we've had a lot of people coming in and out here. We appreciate you guys so much that you're even here watching. Okay, I expected maybe nobody. I expected to be talking
we
for
had
an
a
hour
lot of
myself.
questions.
We had a lot of questions.
We didn't finish all our questions
Yes.
because you guys gave us some.
We appreciate you guys. If you have more questions, there will be things on Instagram. There will be things on Facebook where you can actually comment your question. You can message it to us. You can email it to us. You can text it to our number, and we'll make sure that we do this. We're going to be doing this the first Friday of every single month. Okay.
Yeah.
So today was the first, and it happened to be Friday, but the first Friday of every month, we'll do this Q&A. So if you have questions, please write them down. Please send them to us. And we'll do the trainer chat, and hopefully we can help you guys out. We'll also, if you guys saw our last thing, our Canine Clash, we'll be doing that monthly as well. So we'll be doing this every month, and we'll be doing the Canine Clash every 4 weeks. What's the date for the next one? Do you know? Off the top of your head?
August 16th, I believe.
I believe it is August 16th. It's always going to be on a Saturday. That's much more just we're having fun. We're messing around. We're enjoying ourselves, which I mean.
Showing off our doggies.
Yeah, we're doing that here too. We're having fun, but it's much more casual. We're inviting
you guys to bring your doggies to show off.
Yeah, we'll be inviting people who live near us. Or I mean, if you live in Florida, you want to travel, you can. But thank you guys so much. We appreciate you guys. We love you, and it means the world to us. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.